Hello there, and welcome to this special sponsor interview courtesy of the Coach and Profit giveaway, where top experts are sharing visibility, marketing, and business strategies for making six figures and more in your coaching business so that you can grow, leverage, and scale. And I am your host, Stephanie Treasure, and I am proud to welcome you to this series, this giveaway, which is now in its fifth year of staging right here in May 2025. So, you're about to experience an interview with one of our valued sponsors, as is customary each year. And we're going to be sharing some actionable tips, possibly some client success stories or experiences as it seems fit, and takeaway advice to support you to grow, leverage, and scale your business. And today I am excited to welcome my friend and colleague, Jana O, content strategist. So, let me tell you a little bit about Jana before we jump right in. Jana has been in corporate HR for 16 years before transitioning to an online business owner, for which she's been in business for about 9 years. She has been a content strategist for 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs, so behind the scenes of a lot of the content and copy that you see out there. And she has brought 165 students in her programs within the last 2 years. So I am excited to bring her on board for this giveaway. She's one of our valued sponsors who made this event possible. And we're going to kind of dive right in and have her share with us some salient tips and what's working now, in addition to getting to what she has brought to the table and made available for you here in this giveaway. So hello and welcome again, Jana.
Thank you. It's so good to see you again. Thank you for having me and getting involving me in this great giveaway.
Awesome, awesome. So I'd love for you to start with telling us about something that you are working on right now that you are excited about, that we can get excited about as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think something that's been taking up a lot of my energy and time and that has been feeding me back a lot of energy because I've been excited about it, like you said, is some of the work that I've been doing inside my high leverage content program curriculum. In the second half of the curriculum, I've been creating and testing these really powerful GPT tools. So I've created 9 of them and put them in my program. And GPT tools are, like, some of your listeners are probably aware of what they are, and others may just be learning about them, but they're like a chat GPT chat that you can use that is pre-programmed on the back end to output content in a certain way based on a certain framework in this case. So I've like programmed these tools, and I've spent like so much time like writing the instructions and testing them and seeing what it gives us, and then like tweaking the instructions to see if I can get it to be a little closer to what I wanted. And that's been something I've been doing recently and really enjoying, loving the process. And those tools actually just debuted inside my program last month. So it's been really fun seeing my students using them, to write even faster than they were writing before, because they're generating high quality drafts of their blog posts that we write inside HLC using these GPT tools. And they're like astonishing. If you had asked me a year ago if I would have a tool that I could give my students that would allow them to just like jot down their thought leadership ideas and like, pass a piece of paper over to someone or a robot or something and be like, here, make a blog post out of this. I would have been like, no, I don't think so. But that's basically what these do. So it's pretty exciting. It's like this whole brave new world, hopefully in a good way. I
Yeah,
know some
yeah.
people are a little wary of them as well, but yeah, so that's something I've been working on that's exciting to me.
No, I am absolutely fascinated by that because a
Mhm.
year ago, me too, I would say that I did not know, not I haven't produced one, but in the sense where I thought, the AI phenomenon started and ended with Chat GPT. And
Right.
I have come across some other colleagues who are creating custom GPTs for various things. I know one colleague who has created one for creating LinkedIn, I don't know if the word is LinkedIn worthy content, but I did not know that you could kind of drill down and get so focused
Yeah.
on the kind of output that you're looking for from Chat GPT or from GPT depending on what you're, the output that you're looking for, like I said.
Yeah.
So I am fascinated that you're doing this because, yeah, content is not content is not content. And if you have a framework that has worked for creating blog posts that gets read, gets engagement, and you're able to put that together in this interface and allows for your clients to be able to leverage that and put basic ideas that they have for their posts and have it give them back some meaningful content or output, or at least a
Yeah.
framework to start with. Like I'm sure their time is cut in half. um,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
That's exactly what's going on. And you said it, and I was just going to say that, which is if you are someone who has a framework that you already have tested and works, that you've been using yourself, that you've been using with clients and students for months, years, a GPT is probably a great way to help those people get, better results faster, basically. So it's like the part that's kind of challenging is like knowing what your framework is and being able to articulate your framework to the GPT. So you have to be really clear on your framework to be able to like create one that works this way, in my opinion. But if you are someone who's listening and you're like, I have a framework, and it doesn't have to be for content writing, it could be for something else too. It's something to consider creating. I could see whole nother conversation for another day, Stephanie, but I could imagine some that you could probably build that would be really cool based on some of your frameworks.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, something that I want to dive into. I just haven't had the, as they say, the bandwidth for it,
Mhm.
but I am totally fascinated by really, like I said, how you can leverage GPT to create these other, very custom tools to
Exactly.
support your clients at an even
Yeah.
deeper level. So kudos
Yep.
to you. So those of you that are listening to us here, I'm going to give you a tip and share with you how you can stay in Jana's space to hear more about what she's doing in this realm and how it can truly support you with what you're doing and how you're sharing content, how you're connecting with your people, and just sharing your brilliance out there as well. So stay tuned to the end of this interview. So let's jump forward. We're going to have thousands of people joining us at this event at various stages of their business, various stages of their growth, and wearing a myriad of hats, that I'm sure.
Mm.
If you could share with us one valuable lesson that you have learned that you believe that all coaches and consultants should know that are
Mm.
on this journey. We're talking about growth and profit, coaching and profiting. We're talking about visibility, marketing, and business strategies. Share with us within that context a valuable lesson that you'd like for those that are watching us to hear about today.
Yeah, I think the thing that comes to mind for me, and I think it's been a really big part of my success and also my longevity in this space, because I've been in online business now for close to 9 years. And you have too, Stephanie, right? How long have you been in online business?
It's been just under 20 years.
Wow.
The
Yeah.
reason why I pause is because in terms of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, I think it's been on it just under 20 years.
Yeah.
In terms of how I'm serving my clients right now,
Online.
just around 14 or 15
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll bet that you're probably going to agree with me on this because I think this really contributes to success and longevity for a lot of us, which is really embracing and understanding that when you are your own boss, the benefit of that at the highest level, right, is that you get to do whatever you want. There's no one telling you what projects to do and what to pursue and what not to, what to prioritize. But obviously, like that's the downside too, right? You have to decide what projects to do, what to prioritize. And it can be really overwhelming to make decisions like that. We get decision fatigue. And I think something that I figured out early on with the help of a coach that I had a long time ago named Sarah, awesome lady, um, that basically like there's no wrong decisions when it comes to like what to prioritize and what to work on. So if you have a bunch of different ideas for offers, or if there's 3 or 4 different social media platforms that you would love to expand your visibility onto right now, and you can only pick one to work on right now or 2 to work on right now, any decisions like that, it's not like there's one that's right and the others are all wrong. And if you don't pick the right one, that it's not going to work for you. You know what I mean? Like it's like you could pick any one of these things and then align yourself behind that decision and make it work.
Mm,
And I think that's so important because I feel like a lot of people get frozen in their decision making because they're worried that they won't pick the one right thing that's going to, if you could follow that thread, all the way through, it's going to be the best thing for them at the end of that, of that project, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that shifting into thinking like that and realizing that there are many different right decisions that you could make, but you have to make one and pick a system or pick a platform or pick a project or something and, pursue it and align yourself fully behind it. Being able to wrap my head around that and really practice it. And I still have times where I'm like, oh my God, I wish that I had a crystal ball and I knew which thing to pick, but I bring myself back to that thought, which I know is true. And it has made a really big difference, I think, in like moving forward all the time instead of getting stuck and being like, I don't know what to do. So
Yeah,
I would say
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's really key. And prioritization is important because depending on your, and you and I have been through, you've been in business for 9 years. I've been in the business a little bit more than that, and we've been on a journey where at various blips in that journey, there were different things that were being prioritized.
Mhm.
Maybe in the beginning, it's I need to get more visible so that people know, that I'm in business, what I do, how to find me, that I'm, a great, content strategist, right? Then, when you get over that hump and you have a list, you have a following, maybe the next thing is, a focus on revenue or a focus on building more programs, etc. So you kind of have to know where you are on the journey and what's most important, because like you said, no decision is really the wrong one, but there's certain decisions or certain courses of action that's going to be more important or should be more highly prioritized based on where you are in your business.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
writing a book, great thing. We all want to write a book. If you're on a growth track and you're not, making your target income right now, should that be your priority? Maybe not, right? Maybe when, things, you get to that over that hump and then you can
Mm.
look at some other side projects, let's say, then you can, go
Yeah.
move on to writing the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are some ways that we can um, kind of filter those decisions through some things. And to me, it's all about like, for me, it's always been about accessing coaches and business besties and people I can learn from to help me to kind of try to cut down on those learning curves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah, for
Mm.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. All right. So we're talking about getting your business to six figures in this giveaway and going
Yep,
and scaling to six figures, achieving that milestone, maintaining it can be a daunting endeavor and a journey that's has its ups and downs and obstacles and its pivots and all the things, right?
for sure.
What is one strategy that you can, a strategy or a mindset shift that supported you to grow your business to your first six figures? And what helped you to keep pushing forward past that?
Yeah. I think that because I've chosen to have a content-driven business, which really most people do, most people are creating content in some way in their business in order to attract and convert clients. Learning how to create content, which is actually related to this is related to what we're going to talk about in a little bit. Learning how to create long form content that goes deep so that you can build that demand and build that trust with people, but also gives a lot of value, but the right kind of value, and also sets up the sale. So you're not giving away too much in that content. So like finding that balance of being able to write deeper, more detailed, value-driven content while still setting up a sale and walking them down the path toward your paid offer. That is a content skill that I feel like I developed with a lot of trial and error early on for myself and for my clients. And it has served me really well. And that's definitely like at the heart of what I teach my students as well. Because my program is a program that teaches long form content. And I believe that long form content is you need to have that in your ecosystem these days in 2024, 2025, and beyond in order to show people by going deep enough that you are the expert, and build that demand and that trust that we need to build with people to get them to buy our things. So I would say that knowing how to do that, but without giving away too much for free. Um, Not to try to be like scarce about it, but more just really about making sure that you're giving the right amount of information that doesn't overwhelm people and will lead them down the path toward your paid offer. that skill has served me really well. And I turn around and, share it with others now through my
Mm.
program. So I'd say that would be the thing that I would point to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love that you said that. I actually love a content-driven model as well.
Hmm.
Content is what warms my people up, has them get to know more about me, more about what I teach, more about how I can help them, and all the things that we know that content marketing is expert and masterful at doing.
Yeah.
And I even, I love it so much, or I believe in this principle so much that I tend to gravitate to podcasts and podcast hosts and YouTubers who really get pretty granular in what they share on those mediums.
Yes.
I love me a podcast, especially when I'm driving. I just, tune in and just put my phone on and just listen as I'm driving. That really gets down to, into the nitty gritty. And, they'll
Yep.
have guests on that and they dissect, so what exactly did you do to accomplish XYZ? And yeah, at the same time, I can't help thinking, or, sometimes as I'm writing things out, as I'm sure some of those that are watching as well, they'll go through a series of, should I put all of this in there? Should I put this whole entire breakdown? Should I put this whole strategy out there?
Yes,
What
exactly.
giving away too much? Then what,
Yeah.
what would move them to buy?
Yes.
So how do you counter that? And
Yep.
actually, that was going to be, I do want you, I know you said you're going to share about your gift. If you can share how you support your clients to counteract that and how the
Yeah.
gift that you're presenting for us today will help them as well.
Yeah, definitely. So in the guide that is in the giveaway, I'm going into a lot of detail on 4 specific blog post structures. And these structures can, by the way, also be used for podcast episodes and YouTube videos. Most of my students do blogs, but I do have students from time to time who use a podcast or a YouTube channel as their main long form content
Mm.
platform. Very often they end up doing both eventually anyway, like one or the other and the blog. Um, but it goes over 4 very specific structures that you can use. And they're all very different from each other, but they all accomplish the same thing, which is to be able to give a lot of value, go into detail about the right pieces of the equation, if you will, that again set up that sale because they build the demand for your offer and they build the trust in you that comes from that deeper content. So that's how I support my students with it, is basically showing them the structures that you can use to do that. And the thing is like we have a lot, it's something you and I were just talking about this the other day in a different setting. We have a lot of control over our content. And so if you're very intentional about the way you structure it, you can, in fact, like I said, give a lot of value, but still be walking people down that path and creating that, that trust and demand for your paid offers. Um, so yeah, that's what's in the guide. And it's exactly, I think if I were reading the landing page information, for like the purchase page for that, the little sales page, it says something like, 4 ways to structure it. And that says, so that you can stop second guessing yourself and wondering, am I giving away too much in this piece of content? Because
Yeah.
just like you said, Stephanie, like that's the thing. It always happens. And here's the thing. Some people think this is a new business owner problem. But it's not. It's really something that people at all stages of business do think about sometimes. Like, ooh, did I just give away too much?
Mm.
Did I tell them more than I should about what's in the program? Not about what's in it, but about, with the actual information that's in the program.
Yeah.
Or did
Yeah.
I overwhelm them and make them think, oh gosh, that sounds like it's a lot of steps or it's too hard? So it's not just new business owners that think like, oh my gosh, am I giving away the farm here? Should I give all my knowledge away for free? We think about it in different ways at all levels of business, So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, perfect, perfect. So, as a
Mhm.
reminder, folks, are you watching this interview by way of, and you probably see something here in caption. This interview is being brought to you by the Coach and Profit Giveaway. And you can log on to www.coachandprofitgiveaway.com totally free during this event window, May 5th to 19th. And you'll be able to access Jana's gift that she just mentioned here completely free within this window of time. So, based on what you've heard so far, I'm sure you're intrigued. I'm sure you want to get your hands on it. I don't think you mentioned, but this is a 22-page guide, so it's very meaty.
Yeah.
has all the goods to support you. So go ahead. You'll once you see Jana's entry, you'll see a button there. Once you click that, you'll be able to enter your name and email address and get access to the guide right away. Totally instant access. So I can't help but to think that as good as this is, and in terms of sharing content in this way and being able to be value driven with your content without giving away the store. What's the should I say trap or any pitfalls that we should watch out for once we go down this road? Or put another way, what is
You
a
mean in
big
terms
or
of like,
common mistake in
yeah,
terms of
long form, like writing long form content
yes,
or
yes,
producing long form content? I think the biggest mistake that I see coaches and service providers making, because that's who I really serve with my content and my offers, is that, especially when it comes to writing a blog, they would love to have a blog because it gives you that evergreen 24/7 salesperson that you wish you had. And it means that all your best content, your best thought leadership content is on your own website instead of just getting lost in a social media feed, and keeps you from having to, like, feed that social media pit monster that just keeps wanting more and more. But they hear a lot of advice that's out there that is not for them about blogging. It's for the bloggers. So I always say, you're not a blogger, you're a coach with a blog. And this also applies to service providers for sure. So it's anyone who's trying to get clients with their blog. The way you get clients with your blog, that's your monetization method. You're not a blogger that's going to monetize with ads or affiliate links. You don't need
yeah,
fancy recipe blog style formatting. A lot of my health coaches, when they think of a blog, they think of like food blogs that have all those crazy like, widgets and recipe things and, click
yeah,
to bounce to the recipe and whatever.
yeah, yeah. Jump to recipe when you click the button at the top. Yeah, I've seen those.
Right, right. So there's a lot of things, including formatting, SEO, sitting down and writing for hours and hours and having that be your full-time job, that people are afraid of because they're listening to the advice that's out there that's really for bloggers, not for a coach with a blog or a service
Mhm.
provider with a blog. So I would say that's a big mistake, is just thinking of yourself as like, oh, I don't want to have a blog because it's going to be really time consuming, when in fact it doesn't have to be, especially if you are listening to advice that's about your business model, not for people who are, bloggers, so to speak.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And as you said, you're in the driver's seat. So
mhm.
when you bring your people in, you kind of train them to kind of how you operate. I mean, one of the first things I say when people join my email list is, I think it's my second email that they get. I say,
Mhm.
hey, by the way, I go live in my Facebook group every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Okay. So it's you would have to kind of train your people after they've, entered your space or come into your funnel, or if they're following you on, they just start following you on Instagram, have some kind of a post or pinned message to let them know that, hey, you want to hear my best tips, on XYZ, make sure you check my blog, stephanietreasure.com or whatever, every Tuesday.
Mhm.
Okay. That's where, so you train your people as to where, and then of course, when you send your emails, you can direct the traffic there. So yeah, I
That
totally
that
agree.
last part, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 that last part. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm going to wrap here because we've shared so much value with us. We are excited about the custom GPTs, here on that.
Yeah.
So, folks, I'm going to encourage you again to join us in this giveaway if you haven't signed up already. If you have, go back in there, look for the email that you would have received from me. Go back to the main gifts page. Look for Jana's gift. You should see it near the top because she's a valued sponsor, and click that button to get access to this 22-page strategy guide, and start to absorb what she says in terms of writing long form content that doesn't give away the store. And then of course you'll be in the know, you'll hear from her as she updates and refines and makes these wonderful custom GPTs for you that will help you even further in terms of writing this kind of content that captivates, brings in your people, gives them value, as well as brings them in as clients.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much again, Jana, for being one of our value sponsors and being a part of this giveaway and bringing such value here. And for those of you joining us, I look forward to seeing you in the next interview.